I have a multicolored thread on a pretty big needle for hand sewing, and I'm doubling it, which makes a very strong bond. But if you're really trying to make it super duper invisible, I would say single it. And I like to work away from me as I'm doing this, and I kind of think about my holding hand kind of coming around and not quite pinching, but just holding it with it open, like you're sewing the top of a like hard shell taco. You want to leave a little space in the middle. So how I like to do a ladder stitch is I have my thread coming out on one side. I'm going in and taking a little bite of the edge of the other side. And then, I know there's that little piece of thread from our machine sewing. I'm just going to tuck that in and get an edge of the other side. And I'm going up in a crisscross format. See how you can see it's going to look almost like the laces on your shoe or the laces on a corset when we're done. And because I'm using a pretty thick thread, you'll see it, and a very colorful thread. If I went with a very transparent thread and with two separate colors, I find the gray thread really is the one that kind of blends in. As I get going, I can pull it tighter and then pull it back down to keep it straight. But that really does just seal it completely. This is how you'd finish a pillow if you were making a pillow and wanted to just sew it shut instead of putting a zipper on. If you have any seam in your clothing that's coming apart that kind of has the double fold seam, this is a great technique for finishing seamed fabric. And here we go. We're getting through it. So you just keep doing that all the way up. And as I'm working, I just kind of keep pulling it tight. Double layered of thread, you're going to have that kind of slip and slide. I would suggest just a single layer. But for purposes, it is giving us what we need, which is to be able to see it. So just, I mean, that is how much of the edge I'm trying to grab. It's just almost a couple of threads. I'm trying to stay right on the edge. If you wanted it more visible, you could go deeper in, but I would use your visible stitches for some other part of the project because this is just a little tiny portion of the project. We're actually almost done. This is our last stitch because see, this is where the machine stitching starts. To finish this off, I'm going to pull it really tight. If I pull it really tight and leave it like that, you'll have a gathered edge. But I'm just pulling it back out, kind of pressing it with my fingers, checking it from both sides, making sure that this is, I want to actually be done. Yep, it looks good. I'm going to go for the, I'm just going to push it through both sides, both layers, and then I'm just pulling it nice and even, and then I'm going to catch both of those loops, pull it down. I'm going to do one more. And then to get rid of my fabric tail and not have it be seen in my project, I'm going to take my needle and go back in to the center of this project, so only through one layer and then go out. Pull that tight, and when I'm cutting, I'm going to push my project down a little bit so I don't have a piece sticking out, and cut it a little tight, and that will just slide back in. And because there's no tension on it, there's no reason for that to fall back out again. But that is how you ladder stitch a closure. Can you see how that would work on a seam on your clothing? If you wanted it to be visible, just use a really brightly colored thread, or if you don't want it to be visible, try to find a matching thread and have fun and enjoy. And this little patch, I probably would whip stitch it on to a place with a hole.